Hi, it's Nick on the 22nd of December, approaching Christmas. I am continuing this week's theme of power and potency. And it's interesting this week as I've chosen this subject. I'm just noticing some of the conversations I've been having with friends and with clients. And several conversations this week have revolved around the difference or the distinction between wanting to influence through information versus influencing through inspiration and emotion and aiming to touch and somehow arouse people's hearts. Several conversations I've had have been around that, and I'm loving making that distinction. One client that I'm working with at the moment, they were saying, we give people a lot of information about why our products are good, but we actually want to kind of make an emotional argument, and we want to have emotional conversations with them, or conversations with them that are much more about heartfelt conversations about what matters to them and relationships. And we came up with this idea of having more courageous conversations with their clients. So I'm going to run a training session for them on that subject. So I found it fascinating that they were asking, how do we have more heartfelt conversations? How do we have more inspiring conversations with healthcare professionals? I just thought that's a lovely question to be asking. And another friend of mine who's a brilliant therapist around storytelling, we were just having a conversation about how he could lead with his own heart, how he could lead with his own inspiration to talk about why he thinks stories are so important, and how we can change the stories we tell about who we are and our place in the world, and what we can achieve. Because most of us are telling stories that are relatively disempowering about ourselves and who we are and what we can do in the world. And he's fascinated by how we arouse people's hearts and go, the stories you're telling don't have to be the stories that you do tell. There are other stories that you can tell about who you are and what you're capable of. So I think where I'm getting to this week is thinking more about how when we show up in our true leadership, one of our jobs is to initially inspire, in a way to stand almost like, as much as we're willing to in any moment, kind of almost emotionally or spiritually unclothed, if you like, and really share our heart, really share what matters to us, really share what's important, and make an emotional and even spiritual connection with people. How do you do that? How do you do that when it's not as an act of manipulation, but as an act of joining, as an act of relationship, as an act of wanting to relate to another human being? And I'm not saying I have all the answers, but that's what's fascinating me, is like living that question. How do we connect emotionally? How do we connect spiritually with each other? Because that, I think, is where a lot of power is. There's a lot of power in information. I think there's even greater power in inspiration and a heart aroused. So that's today's thought. I'll be back tomorrow with another thought. Hope that's touched something in you. God bless. Have a good day. Bye-bye.